Kerli, and Monica called me expert, but I actually think there is no experts yet in circular economy. It's very complex, it's new, and it requires lots of different brains. So, but I do have experience working with sustainability. But before I introduce myself, I just wanted to hear how many of you are familiar with circular economy as a concept. Could you please raise your hand? And how many of you are working with circular economy? Thank you. So we can have a great discussion. If you have like burning questions, please raise your hand and ask them. Otherwise, we'll take it in the end. Just a brief background of myself. I have a master's degree in business economics. I've studied social entrepreneurship, and I have a PhD from Copenhagen Business School, where I looked at business model innovation, circular economy within the textile industry context. And my focus has been the post-consumer waste. That's the most problematic one. And I tried to see how fashion industry should take responsibility for that, how they should collaborate, with whom, and what are the innovative ideas they could implement. I've worked with sustainability both in academia, in NGO world, and private industry. In 2010, I was also in the shoes of entrepreneur. I had a concept, great circular economy concept within textiles. That's the Female Entrepreneur of the Year award I won for that in Copenhagen. And the concept in a nutshell is down there. I'm not going to talk about it today. It never happened. I was too early in the time. I didn't find partners. I was unknown entrepreneur. I didn't have enough experience. Lots of challenges that startups usually have. But what I did was I took the business plan and I wrote it into a PhD application. And my ambition was to take those topics and put them in the big industry context, because that's where the impact lies. So I invited charity industry and big fashion corporation to be my dialogue partners, and we studied that topic for 5 years. I worked for Jack & Jones as a circular economy project manager, and also advised Bestseller, which owns 15 brands. And today I work as a freelance advisor at SUSTINERE. So before going into theory and innovations, I will play a little video just to get us all on the same page. And later on I will present circular economy in the context of the textile industry, show the innovations and also the challenges and bottlenecks.
In nature, everything is upcycled. Plants absorb light. Leaves grow. Soil is enriched. Seeds sprout, ready for the cycle to start again. There is no waste. Everything is reused. In fact, waste as we know it comes from just one species, us. But maybe not for long. The circular economy ends our reliance on the rubbish heap and turns waste into a resource. Sustainability is designed into products, remaining valuable until the end, when they can be introduced back into the production cycle. One industry's waste becomes another's raw material. The EU is already on its way to the circular economy through eco-design, waste prevention, and the reuse and recycling of products. Businesses across Europe are making our society and environment more resilient. In the coming years, they could go on to save billions of euros, create jobs, and greatly reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
So EU new European Commission has set that beautiful vision. The vision is not new. It actually goes back to 60s, 70s, but it has become very hot, let's say, since 2013. The thinking is very closely related to cradle-to-cradle, performance economy, industrial symbiosis, several schools of thoughts. But in a nutshell, it's basically about products and materials, and there are two loops. In a linear economy, you have resources. You take materials, you make them into product, you use them, and you throw them out. In the circular economy, there are two strategies, two loops. One is the loop one, called waste prevention, making the products and materials last long through reuse and slowing down the consumption and the use of those products. And secondly, loop two, reducing waste and recycling the materials. Basically, if you have a piece of t-shirt or a pair of jeans, you are done with it. You are giving it further for reuse, and once this is really done, nobody can use it. It goes as a material for recycling. So two things, reuse and recycling. It looks very simple, but it also is complex. Because circular economy is a systems, need to be seen as a system. It's an economic model, and there are different actors. So it has to be seen at the micro level. These are companies and their business models. I'm not going to go in detail in this, but this is the classical Osterwalder business model canvas. And basically, every company should innovate or look through their current business model from a circular economy perspective and integrate and innovate these principles. Then there is a supply chain level. There are different actors. If you take again a t-shirt, there are different continents, different stakeholders within that supply chain. They all need to collaborate. So it has to work as a circle so that the material never becomes a waste. And then there is a macro level, and this is basically the society and the economy as a whole. It's taxes, it's legislation, it's education, it's fiscal policies as a big picture. And for circular economy to happen, so the innovation and change has to happen in all these places. If a company wants to do a circular product, but the legislation doesn't support that, or the technology is not there that helps to recycle that, so the company's alone, so they can't do the circular product. So if we zoom now on the circular economy concept, I'm just asking, is there anyone who would like to comment or ask a question? Or because now I'm zooming into the textile industry, so that it gets a little bit more practical and interesting. Is it any, yes? No question there? Okay, you raised the hand. So if we look at the textile industry, so why do we talk about circular economy? Because there is a lot of waste. The production has doubled between 2000 and 2014. The world population is growing, resources are decreasing. Only roughly 20% of all the clothes and textiles we use get collected for reuse and recycling. The rest end up in landfills or incinerations. So we have lots of problems there. And why? Because the fashion production and consumption has changed. There is a phenomenon called fast fashion. It means more collections are coming on the market, they come faster, they're cheaper, the quality is lower. People buy impulsively. The products last shorter. There is a concept of planned obsolescence, meaning that the product is not old functionally, but it actually becomes old for you aesthetically, like this season's must-haves. And there is a throwaway culture. If you look at that store, it's actually, for me, the products have become trash already in the store. And it's one of the most exclusive department stores in Copenhagen. So it's a signal that products don't have value. So we consume differently, and we produce differently, and we sell differently. So products have less value. And these are two quotes that I think illustrate this very well. As one of them says, they're that cheap, even when the season has ended, you can just bin them. Or I buy in cheaper shops, places like that. It's great for a 2-week holiday. Get suntan all over it, and then I just bin it. And that was 2008. So it's called Disposable Fashion. And these facts are from real life. The pictures I took myself a few years ago, and as you can see, the pieces, they cost $3.99, $4.99. So it's a coffee latte in European airports. I'm a bit nervous, I don't know why. I love the topic and I've talked about it a lot. But anyway, so if we go back, then yes, consumers. What is consumers' role in circular economy? They actually have a very strategic role because they become gatekeepers. That the products, for example, t-shirt or jeans, if it becomes a waste or if it becomes a raw material. So in circular economy, the consumers, they become suppliers for new business models and co-creators of value. What I mean by suppliers, if you have a second-hand store and you want to get, or if you have a brand store and you want to get your products back to resell them, you need the consumer to get out of the store, of the closet. So basically, the value peak point, that's when you buy a piece of t-shirt, and the disposing moment, that's when you stand in the store, at home, in front of the bin, and decide, is it the trash or is it the value? And that's where consumers become gatekeepers. Because it's up to you if that product can have a longer life, either as a material, as a new product, or if it, for example, the E point up there, it can be even sold higher price than original price. If we take a Levi's jeans, for example. So if we look at the circular value chain of fashion, it changes the logic of the product. In a linear, brands produce a product and they sell it, and they don't care what happens with it. I made lots of interviews with brand managers, and when I asked, do you know what happens with the products after they're sold, they had no clue. That was 2011. Today, most of the brands, bigger ones, they have strategy, some pilot initiatives in place, and they actually admit that they have a responsibility to clean up. So the circular value chain means that you need to collaborate as a fashion brand, you need to collaborate with new stakeholders, collectors, sorters, recyclers. It means you need to design a product differently that it can be reused, recycled. So if we zoom in, what does circular economy mean in fashion industry? Then there are different, waste streams. In every phase of the product, you can take decisions that help circularity. You can call them eco-innovations or innovations, or just classical decisions in product design and production. There is, if we start with design, the products need to be designed for reuse and recyclability and durability. Meaning if you make a pair of jeans and if you mix it with elastan, it cannot be mechanically recycled, for example. Post-industrial recycling, and we'll tell more about it. Pre-consumer reuse recycling, meaning all the collections that are not sold, and these are a lot Lots of brands are burning them or just destroying them. Then we have the life cycle engagements with consumers, meaning that you need to educate consumers about how to take good care of it, how to wash it properly, what to do when you're done with it. And finally, post-consumer recycling, meaning that this pair of old jeans can become a new pair of jeans. So what are the innovations, or what is happening out there when we look at the post-consumer textile waste? Many interesting things are happening out there. They're still niche, and many of them are pilot things, but they're happening. For my own PhD, I did, and that was in 2014, I did that study. I did a mapping to understand what a brand's doing. And there are two strategies, which goes back to the two loops: slowing down, the reuse loop, and recycling, the more material specific. And the brands are doing the same. The more high quality brands, they're trying to capture the value of the products through repair, resell, leasing, like different strategies. Or fast fashion brands, they try to collect them back and use them as a material in new collections. So I'll give you a few examples. Slowing down consumption. It's a leasing concept. It's a baby clothing company from Denmark. So instead of buying baby clothes, you are making a subscription and you lease them. So through the first 2 years, I think babies will go through 6 sizes. So instead of having all these piles of baby clothes, you just get the size you need. Once the baby has grown out, you send it back and you get the new size. The products are very high quality. They are very beautiful, organic. And on average, 7 families are using one set of products. So instead of buying a product, you're buying a service. So product as a service, which is one of the business models in circular economy. Eileen Fisher, that's an American brand. A few years ago, they had a campaign, "We'd like our clothes back, thank you very much." And basically, they found out that the products are very high quality and very high value in the resale markets. And they said, why don't we capture that value? Why will let others do that? So that you can bring your Eileen Fisher products back to the store. You get $5 per piece. They are sorting them, they are repairing them, they are even dyeing them again if it's faded color, and they are reselling them online, in physical stores and pop-up stores. I visited the sorting center, I visited the stores. They're profitable, beautiful. You don't even sense that it's second-hand. And since 2009, when they started, they have sent back to circulation around 800,000 pieces. Patagonia, that's another American brand, outdoor brand, kind of a pioneer in sustainability and circular economy. They had this ad, you probably have seen that, but it was, I think 2013, doesn't matter, on a Friday morning, Black Friday morning in New York Times, on the front page. And basically they made this statement that don't buy this, and buy only when you need it, and when you need it, buy quality. So behind that Common Threads initiative, they have a whole strategy and lots of activities, how they reuse, repair, resell, recycle the fibers. And I'll show a little, yeah.
As individuals, the single best thing we can do for the planet is keep our stuff in use longer and reduce our overall consumption in the process. Worn wear celebrates the stories we wear, keeps your gear in action longer through repair, and recycles your garments when they're beyond repair. Now we're taking it a step further. Welcome to wornwear.com, an online store for used Patagonia clothing, where clothes that once sat idle in closets make their way back into the field, instead of the landfills. So here's how it works. You can start by buying used on wornwear.com, or new on Patagonia.com. And then you wear it. Pack some stories, grit, and memories into it, and always repair and care for it. And when you stop using it, trade it in at a Patagonia store. We'll wash it and make it available to someone who will use it, and you will get paid in wornwear credit, so you can buy something new or used that you will wear. So there you have it. Quality gear that lasts and can get passed on. It's what we like to call. And always, repair and care for your gear, celebrate the stories you wear, and recycle your gear when it's beyond repair. Wornwear.com.
So they are extremely visionary behind that, because they're outdoor people, they like nature, they see how the nature is polluted, and they feel that their products should not, or they should harm the least. So they create stories, they create the feeling that we appreciate our products, and please consumers do the same. Okay. So another strategy that brands are doing, and especially denim brands, are offering repair. Nudie Jeans, a Swedish brand, they do nice sustainable products, use lots of sustainable fibers, and they are offering for free their customers a repair service. You can also, if you can't go to the store, you can also send an email and they will send you the kit and how to repair your own jeans. It's a growing initiative, and they have received lots of positive feedback from the consumers. Let's see what comes next. Okay. Phillipa K, a Swedish brand. They was a high-quality classical design, and in 2008 they started their own second-hand store, also in Stockholm. They found out that their products have a high value, and they thought we could try to capture that value. They do that in collaboration with a local consignment store. And basically you can bring in a Phillipa K clothes and consign them. So they sell it for you, and you get 50%, they get 50%. They have also started leasing service, basically a new collection in the store. You can lease the piece of garment for 4 days. I think it was 20% price. In that way you can see, is that piece of garment worth investment? Do I like it? Or maybe I only need it for 4 days. So instead of buying it, you can use it for one occasion and bring it back. There are also clothing libraries. So instead of shopping for clothes, again, you have a place where you make a subscription, and you can get new clothes all the time, but you just don't own them. So you bring them back and you borrow something else, like you do with libraries. This Lena's library, or clothing library, this is in Amsterdam, and very successful, and consumers are happy for it. It functions very well. And then there are brands like H&M, fast fashion. So the fast fashion brands, they choose how to get the material back, because very often the products don't have a resale value. If you go to a flea market at the end of the day, then most of the fast fashion brands are hanging there. So their resale value is lower, and the quality is lower as well. So they mainly focus on how to get the material value out of it. H&M has started a take-back initiative in the stores, and what they collect in the stores, some of it very little. I think it's less than 1%. Is turned into new collections, and that's the Denim Reborn. But they're working on different other products as well. Another great innovation company. These products are made of wool waste and denim waste. So Acoustic Felt. It's a nice interior design element, and the textile board basically could be used for furniture. So this is purely, it's not dyed, it's pure denim or pure cotton and pure wool in their natural colors. Beautiful product. They were launched in Milan this spring, and they're looking for collaboration partners to sell that. Yodel, that's an American initiative that provides platform for brands to resell the products. So Patagonia, they are collaborating with Yodel because the Yodel provides them the online tools, the expertise to make them easier to resell the products. And this is uniforms for the dedicated. When you buy the product, you get the bag, and you can send your own product back in that bag and donate it. So there are also ways of engaging consumers in a different way and kind of get them to think and send the products back. So see, these were some of the great initiatives that are out there. The list is much longer, but still, they are niche. They are not mainstream yet, and there are lots of bottlenecks. So before I finish and open for questions, I wanted to put some of the bottlenecks down there. I hope you can read. I'm not going to go through all of them, but basically the bottlenecks or challenges for circularity, they are on all levels. As I started with a big systemic picture, they are at the institutional level. For example, what's the definition of waste? In circular economy, there should be no waste. That sets lots of boundaries. Who can collect waste? Who can treat them? For example, textile waste, when in Denmark, when we implemented it with Jack & Jones, the take-back scheme in the stores, it turned out that brands are not allowed to collect textile waste. But we said it's not a waste, it's just a used product. So the law and definition of waste is not clear and it needs to be looked through. There is value chain related challenges. There are complex global value chains. The innovation is very often very fragmented. You need lots of different stakeholders to collaborate with you. They need to see the big picture. They need to understand your motivation. They need to have the technology in place. But there are also organizational challenges. Organizations are used to work in silos. I'm doing marketing, you are doing buying, you are doing logistics. Working with circularity, you need the cross-organizational approach, which is very, very difficult. There is lack of best practices, lack of internal awareness. For example, when I worked with Jack & Jones, there were some people, very influential people, they did not understand why do we collect trash in our stores. So basically, how do you get the whole organization on board? Because from marketing, this might look, the story or the value proposition of this take-back initiative might look one way. If you work with buying, it looks different. So you really need lots of people on board in the organization to make the circular economy initiatives a success. And there is a personal, the way we think, the linear way of thinking, and lack of time. I just don't have time for this right now. I need to do this, I'm measured on this. So very often the circular initiatives or sustainability initiatives in companies, they are also person-driven. Some entrepreneur who has an idea or wants to innovate something does that from his own energy and enthusiasm. So there has to be also organizational culture supporting innovations. So the road to circularity is not straightforward, but it's colorful and it's exciting. Around the corners there are lots of exciting things. So the hackathon is a perfect place to embrace the opportunities and the challenges. And I say thank you. And I'm looking forward to it.